Attorney General Sessions recused himself on Thursday from any investigations into last year's election after he met with the Russian envoy twice. Sessions failed to disclose those meetings during his Senate confirmation. Joining us here in Los Angeles, California talk radio host Ethan Behrman, California Republican National Committeeman Sean Steele, also attorney Sara Azari, and from Seattle, Washington, former CNN Moscow bureau chief Jill Doherty. Thank you all for being with us. Okay, Sarah, to you, I want you to follow up on Sean's point. He basically said that, Jeff Sessions made a mistake. He's now owned up to it. Nothing to see here. There is no there.
It is not a mistake. This is a man who has been living and breathing and speaking the language of law since he graduated law school in 1979. When he was before this hearing and Senator Franken asked him this question, he knew how important this topic was to all of us, the American people. He knew that his answer had to be complete and full and accurate. There's different kinds of lies, John. There's lies where I know the truth and I utter a false statement and try to pass it along as the truth. There's also a lie where I fail to fully state the facts, where I omit very important facts, and that's what he did. He knew that he needs to tell the Senate Confirmation Committee that he did have certain communications with Russians, but then that would have opened up a whole line of questioning as to what were those, when were those, with whom, and what was, communicated, and what was it about. And I disagree with the Republican panel member here that this is some kind of a mistake and he had no willful intent here. That's the difficulty of prosecuting somebody for perjury. But let's use the same standard that Jeff Sessions used on Bill Clinton back in 1999, which was prosecute him, not just remove him from office, but prosecute him, throw him in jail, give him up to 5 years of maximum prison time, give him the $250,000 fine that applies. Let's apply the same standard to this man, because that is his standard.
Initially, Sessions denied the election campaign was discussed with the Russian ambassador. Then, during his news conference on Thursday, he walked that back.
But I don't recall any specific political discussions.
It does seem that he's leaving open the possibility that maybe the campaign was in fact discussed. Is there enough here for the FBI to begin some kind of criminal investigation, which is what many Democrats are now demanding?
Well, it's interesting because he uses, his choice of words are very interesting. I don't recall. I don't believe I did this. He's leaving room to, if it's proven that he did in fact have this conversation along these lines, that nobody can come back and say you actually blatantly lied. The difficulty, John, in prosecuting these cases, and back to your question about the FBI, is that there has to be willfulness that's proven. And often, much like Mr. Sessions is doing right now, the person can give a different explanation for what they meant. Maybe they misunderstood the question. Maybe they didn't fully explain themselves, and had they put it in a full context, it would have made better sense. So the problem with perjury is that there has to be a willful false statement made, that it's not enough that it's just false. And so that's the issue I have, is I'm saying that this is somebody who is very knowledgeable. He knows why they're asking him this question. He not only lied about it under oath, but he lied about it in the questionnaire for the Senate Confirmation Committee as well. And now, back to the gentleman who was talking about he immediately recused himself. I disagree. I don't know how much longer he wanted to stay on board. I mean, it was tremendous pressure from his own people, from the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, for him to recuse himself. And one more thing, recusals. We've had attorney generals who've recused themselves, but it's always been because of an appearance of, a closeness to the conflict or the wrongdoing. In this case, this man himself is involved in this.
Okay, is Nancy Pelosi right? What are the differences here between Bill Clinton lying under oath and Jeff Sessions lying under oath?
Well, look, lying under oath is the crime of perjury. Doesn't matter what you're lying about. But the issue is that this man, Jeff Sessions, was the same person who, at the time Bill Clinton came before the Senate in 1999 for sexual misconduct involving Monica Lewinsky. This same individual said that he's lying, it's perjury, he needs to be removed from office, and he needs to be prosecuted. And for somebody who has been a U.S. attorney before, I think it was the U.S. Attorney of Alabama, that's a very heavy thing to say about the president. That means he's going to be prosecuted criminally, there's going to be a trial, he might be found guilty, and then he gets to go to prison for up to 5 years. So this person set that standard. So it doesn't matter what you're lying about. And if I may, the misconduct we're talking about here is treason. It has to do with national security. It's extremely serious. It has nothing to do with oral copulation in somebody's personal life.
Sarah, how long will the president stand by Jeff Sessions?
Well, I think I think everything right now is going as long as it possibly can, much like I think Jeff Sessions waited a while before he recused himself. I think he's going to stand by him until, you know, we can prove that he absolutely willfully perjured himself under oath. But, you know, I think Senator Franken has asked for a written explanation from Jeff Sessions explaining why he misstated, you know, what is the misunderstanding here, because that's essentially what Jeff Sessions is saying. So it'll be interesting to see how he's going to explain this. And I think depending on what that explanation is, then we'll probably hear from President Trump about this.
Okay. And Sarah, thank you for being with us.
Yes.
Ethan and Sean as well.